Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 50-50 Take It or Leave It podcast. I'm your host, not Matt, Kyle, and Mitchell.
Matt, you look different. Why do you look different?
I'm a little different today. I'm rocking some new drip.
Got some drip.
Yeah, I'm rocking
Matt
something
has
new.
Drip. Matt has his own kind of drip.
Yeah,
a
but
good kind.
It is me, Kyle, here.
Yeah.
Matt, unfortunately, can't be with us tonight.
Matt's busy this weekend. He's getting
absolutely
ready
swamped
for stuff.
So we talk a little bit about me and Mitch, where we talk about our broadcasting motivations and why we are here. What made us go into the world of broadcasting and everything in between, our journeys and whatnot. Exactly. And of course, DnD discussion, a shorter DnD discussion, but still a very insightful one, full of a lot of twists and turns. I can't wait to see what happens next. All that and more on the 50-50 podcast.
Do 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 do.
Is that the NFL theme song?
Yes, it is.
Wow, it is something. It sounds close to it.
Not even close.
Okay, all right.
I could have done the Sports Center one.
You could have, but hey, we don't want to get hit with a copyright.
That's true.
Don't want to get the strike. Might sound too similar.
Blam.
Yeah,
no, it's not. I can't even, honestly, I can't remember what the Sports Center one is.
Me neither. It's blanking on me.
I got it.
Let me hear it.
Do-do-do.
Oh.
Yeah, duh, right?
Right. Isn't that like a ringtone on a phone?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty sure okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome.
You're probably wondering why we're doing all these theme intros.
Yeah, so,
stuff.
we're here to talk about a little bit about the inspirations and motivations as to why we became broadcasting majors and why we want to jump into such a massive world.
Oh, it is such a massive world.
And Mitch, you've been here longer than I have.
Oh, sadly.
You've been more experienced in the ways of broadcasting and whatnot. I think, in my opinion, you're more experienced than me. So
thank you, Kyle.
I guess to kind of give off, for you to start off, what made you decide, sports broadcasting is what I want to do, and was it always a dream that you had, or was it something along the way that you discovered?
I get that question quite a bit, actually. People, because broadcasting is a very interesting field to go into. It takes a certain person to be in this field and do what you do, because it's kind of a labor of love in a way. People would ask me, like, Mitch, why are you broadcasting major like that? I mean, you like sports, but that's about it. Mm-hmm. And it's not even like you played sports. I was like, I know, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
So it when I was 11, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and then I wanted to become a doctor, just like my doctor. I wanted to I thought it'd be really cool, for patients to have my patients have the same disease I have, so that they feel like they weren't alone in the world when they got this.
Right.
And so I wanted to be a doctor, specifically an endocrinologist.
Ooh.
Yeah, that you have to be super smart for that.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I realized because my dad's buddy's an orthopedic surgeon, super smart guy. I asked him, I was like, so what was his grades like? He's like, he got straight A's all the time. I was like, oh, so I guess
that ain't me.
Doctor, right out the window.
Yeah.
And then I started doing a little bit of research, and I was really into sports. I'd really gotten in. I was a big Bears fan, still am, but unfortunately now
it's unwavering loyalty, but still at the same time.
Right. I did. I was like, well, what does it take to do sports stuff? How fun would it be to be a to be a play-by-play for the Bears? What do you have to do that? How do you get that job? What does it take? How much does it cost? What do you need? Obviously, people don't have to be you have to be smart to do it, but it's a different kind of smart. You're not saving someone's life. You're calling a football game.
You're telling a story.
You're telling. I didn't know that at the time. But like deep down, that's the truth though. Is you're telling a story.
Yeah.
So I did some research and I realized that they don't always make the most money, and it takes a ton of experience and a ton of
takes a lot of time.
Networking,
time, and effort.
It's a lot of, you got to be in the right place at the right time, knowing the right amount of people going into that moment, and you set yourself up, and you can't achieve it. Very rarely does it happen though. For such a specific goal of calling
for the Bears
football games, like that's really specific, which is a goal should be specific.
But it's almost
maybe not that specific.
Yeah.
You're going to set yourself up for failure almost.
It's a big goal because first you have to make it to NFL and be able to get a commentary job there. And then after a couple of years, they're not going to throw you in the Bears automatically, probably. You'll have to then, make your name be known, and then you transfer to the Bears. But even before you make it to NFL, you got to start doing the smaller stuff.
Yep.
So it's like a big...
Start your small market teams.
Yeah, it's a big goal, but it's also a very specific goal. Like, it's big in the way of, like, it's grand NFL commentary, but it's specific because, specifically the Bears.
And, like, at that time in my life, I had no idea, like, how hard it actually was, because I did some internet searching, but that was the extent of it. And I realized, like, the money just wasn't there for it. Like, I knew I could make more money elsewhere.
Right.
So I kind of gave up on that for a while. Started looking into being like a psychologist. Because I have this weird fascination with the brain. I think it's really cool how people think, work, what they do subconsciously. Like,
it's cool to read those kinds of things.
Yeah, when they're not under a microscope, what are they doing? Like that's their true selves. Like when they're not critically thinking and they're just being them, and they're not thinking, they're just doing and letting their body take over and letting their brain just kind of rest and just do what it does.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that really fascinated me. You also have to be really smart, and you have to go to school for not as long as a doctor, but still a long time for a psychologist. So it's like, probably not.
Yeah.
And then I went back to the sports thing. I was like, maybe this sports thing is really cool. I know there's not a lot of money, but maybe if I just find a cool school to go to, and I meet a lot of people there, then maybe I can make this work.
Right.
But like a cheap school, but like it's still a cool school.
Cool but cheap.
But cheap. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it just was difficult to find. There was the one college that I did not apply to that I had my mind set on applying to was Full Sail University.
Oh, in Orlando.
In Orlando, which is like,
that's the school for people like us.
Yeah, that's like
next to
smart
Prague.
people. Next to Prague, pretty much. That's like the smart people's Harvard.
Yeah, I guess the smart people's Harvard would still be Harvard. I'd call it more like it's the geeky Harvard, where it's like Harvard's preppy, and in a way, and Full Sail's like, we're like Harvard, but we're cooler.
Oh, dude, have you ever looked at their virtual campus tours?
Nah, but they're. I've heard the stories and I see the commercials. Cool.
That's how into it I was. I was like looking at their campuses and like seeing how much tuition costs, and the thing that killed it for me was like being in Florida, being in Orlando. It's like, I love traveling, or I want to travel and get out of the Midwest, but I just can't.
Can you commit to going all the way to Florida and staying there?
Personally, I can commit. Yes, like personally, I can go down there and I have no issue with that. Like, I'll make friends. Like, I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
It's the financial commitment that I cannot make.
Yeah.
And that one's a lot harder to be like, oh, just commit to it. Like, no,
take a plane, live alone, try to make some income while you're down there in a state that you don't know shit about.
Exactly. And it's Florida. Let's be real here, people.
Florida's got a couple good places, and even them can be a little.
It's like, yikers.
Sorry to my Florida fans. That's some Florida slander, but hey.
So I kind of
got the Jags.
Well, they had the Bucks. They won a Super Bowl.
That's true. Yeah, I keep forgetting about Tampa Bay, and I'm talking about Jacksonville. And I'm like,
and Miami and Jacksonville don't put a good name for Florida. It's Tampa.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, so I kind of gave up on it again. Just like it's like, okay, if I want to go to Full Sail, like that's a lot of commitment that I have to make, and I could go to USD, but it's not the same. That's not what I want.
It's not. It's not the same.
If I'm gonna commit, if I'm gonna get a degree in this, I want to make sure it's a good degree.
Right.
Foreshadowing. That doesn't happen. But no. So it's in my senior year. I take this. It's actually really funny. I take a communications class in the fall through this community college in Iowa. And then the second semester, I take this early childhood like psych class.
Okay.
And I decided to, when applying to schools, I decided to apply under it was a psych major, but it wasn't for like being a psychologist. I wanted to be a therapist.
Right.
Because I really do love helping people. I'm a very caring person, and I like seeing people succeed. And I think that's a big part of being a therapist. And a lot of the motivation, because they don't make that much money either, but it's again a labor of love here. So
yeah, it's about the payoff, not in terms of money, but in terms of you've actually changed someone's life.
Yeah,
like,
you've
that's
helped
the
someone.
Reward.
Right.
That's the reward that you look for when you're a psychiatrist. I mean, doctors get paid a lot, and they do this.
When you're just
thing,
a therapist, so it would have been like a therapist, social worker type situation.
Which is still like it's a job of, it's, as you said, a labor of love.
Right, and I think I have like 3 or 4 family members that do that. So, I just was like, I'm probably really good at this, and I probably should like try to do it in college and like make a decent amount of money with it.
Yeah, I mean.
So I came into school with being a psych major, and then I toured 3 schools. I toured MSC 4. I apologize, 4.
Okay.
Well, the weekend I toured 2 of them. It was a 2-for-1. Friday I went to Mankato and toured. Really liked their campus. It was big enough where I was like, okay, this is college. I like this. This is what I imagine college being like. But it wasn't so big, and I didn't realize at the time, because then I went and toured the U the next day.
Oh my god!
Too big.
Blows it out of the water.
Too big. Like
it is essentially integrated into the entire city, like Minneapolis, and then you have the U of M in there, and it's kind of just. And then you go over like toward the St. Paul area. Its reach
huge.
Is
it just massive. And like I was on the tour and I was like, wow, this is a university. Holy crap. This is huge. These are like ancient buildings, and like I am so lost right now, and the rooms are really small, and they're telling me I can't bring my car up here. Or if I do, it's very unlikely I'll get a parking pass. And like, I have to ask my parents now to drive me back and forth to school when I want to come home.
Yeah.
And for my parents at the time, that was like a 5-hour drive, and like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
can't do it.
And it was on the fence. I was like, I really want to come here, but I don't know about this. Then I saw a nice pile of puke in the bushes when we were on tour, and I'm like, that's it.
And
that's the breaking point.
Gonna do it.
I'm not coming here.
Really?
I didn't get accepted anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
The U of M requires so much from you, but it's not like a lot as in like I'll never be able to do it. It's just like you gotta have a GPA of like I think 3.5 to 4.0 essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta be really smart, really on top of your things, and there's other prerequisites. And
right.
I know people who went there. I thought about it, but then I was also like, I want something cheaper.
Yeah, you're right. And it was expensive as hell.
And it was expensive, yeah.
Yeah. So
not as expensive as another school that I thought about going to, but still.
Yeah, so MSU was kind of the lead combatant school, whatever. Then I toured SMSU.
Yep.
I liked it a lot. I told the admissions counselor that I was a psych major, but like I had also had I've had this reoccurring broadcasting interest, and she's like, well, we have like a TV studio and like cameras and all that stuff, and I was like, really? Is there any way we can see that? She's like, yeah, sure, we'll go down and look at it. So we took a tour, and like the place that we're recording this in is I toured it 5 years ago, and it basically that's what sold me on. I'm like, I can really see myself going places with this.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't exactly what I want, but holy crap.
It'll do.
And then I also toured I actually toured USF after this school.
So you went to South Florida?
University of Sioux Falls.
See, well, you say USF, all right? And that could be South Florida. It could be Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
There is really no difference.
I've been in an NSIC mine for the past 6 months, so
then that's
I hear USF,
yeah,
and I'm like, oh, Sioux Falls, cool.
That's completely fair.
Yeah, so I toured USF, and the big thing about USF was they didn't have a whole lot for broadcasting, and it was kind of expensive, like 30 plus a year. So I'm like, yikers,
yeah.
No.
Compared to SMSU, where it's like, what?
So then essentially it was down to MSU and SMSU.
Yeah.
And the problem was then that SMSU had accepted me. MSU had not. So
there you go.
I was just by process of elimination, I came here, and I honestly, going into the first semester, I was talking to people about like MSU's broadcasting program and whatnot, and apparently it was trash. Didn't know that. Didn't do enough research, I guess. But I was determined to transfer out of here because I was like, I don't know if this is the place I want to be. I don't know. And then I stuck it out, and I'm pretty happy with the end result.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that's the journey, like, and I'm glad I stuck it out because I'd say for the first month I was really hell bent on leaving.
Right.
But then I
heard more about it.
Well, not that I heard more about it. I was making a good amount of friends. And I took that storytelling class with Julie.
Yeah.
And like at the time, I was really frustrated with that class. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
it can be a little bit.
It was kind of frustrating, but also, that class is what sparked or helped me figure out why I kept coming back to broadcasting. It's because of the storytelling aspect of it.
Yep.
There's so much storytelling involved, and I love telling stories. I've always have. Like, I love talking, but I don't love talking. I love talking with a purpose.
Right. If it's just like turn your brain off and just start blabbing.
Yeah, I don't like just talking to talk. That's dumb. I like making dumb jokes, but I don't like just talking to talk.
Fair enough.
I like telling stories. I like engaging people. I like engaging audiences. So that's the real root reason why I'm a broadcasting major, and that's why I love making documentaries, and I love making promo videos and just capturing moments and putting them to film to last forever. It's beautiful. Photography, I love. Graphic design, I love. It's all good shit.
All under a giant umbrella.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've been chit-chatting and blabbing for a while, Kyle. What got you into it?
All right. Well, I guess I'll start off with something when I was a kid. As a kid, I was a huge fan of professional sport wrestling stuff. Like, the WWE, all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it because of, obviously, it was wrestling and I was a kid and it was like, yeah, man stuff. Wrestling, yeah.
Man stuff.
It was also the stories behind the wrestlers and everything, because there'd be rivalry set up between these like two wrestlers and why are they fighting and what is and a lot of that was done through promos that they would do talking smack about the other guy, or you get a sense of their character.
Yeah.
And the commentators would help reinforce that. And so I grabbed hold of that early in my childhood. And throughout the years, starting mostly in high school, at first I wasn't really into broadcasting at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Believe it or not, when I was in high school, I wanted to be like something with computers, like a computer.
Oh.
Yeah, science guy.
Makes sense for esports.
Didn't make the full connection. I didn't decide to commit to computer science or anything like that, but I thought, that'd be kind of cool to get into. But then senior year of high school, I joined the high school newspaper. And I started doing just standard reviews and commentaries of stuff. And not like big sports stories. I wasn't like a sports journalist or anything like that. And I would never go to the games. I just never had a way to get there. But I did a lot of reviews and I did all those things, and for some reason journalism really grabbed me because you're telling a story. You're literally writing words on the paper and telling people like the news and stories. And
Yeah.
also the person who was in charge of that newspaper club was also just a homie. He was a dude. Mr. Zacola, what a guy. Shout out to him. But he helped me a lot with understanding, news casting and being able to tell stories for the audience that are able to understand. How to be clear and concise, how to engage an audience without having to shove an agenda down someone's throat. And that made me realize something too, because I started to go into college because of journalism. And my journey to college was a lot like yours.
Oh, really?
I went to a college fair in Minneapolis, walked around, explored different colleges. They'd hand me folders, hand me brochures, and all that jazz. And I'd, read them. I'd look at them. I'd see what their programs are like. Because the biggest thing I wanted to see was the communications, journalism, broadcasting. Well, not even broadcasting, journalism. It was journalism. And, one did strike out to me. My goal was did not want to travel outside of Minnesota.
Oh, really?
No. I wanted to keep in Minnesota so I can be around my family. They can see me.
True.
And it was just a more effective way to keep in touch with everyone in my family. The B, I guess, of my goals were obviously something cheap. Of course, I still looked at some of those schools where I was like, it's a little spendy, but who knows? Maybe roll the dice.
St. Augustus.
Yeah.
Or St. Olaf.
Don't even get me started on St. Thomas. St. Thomas, I looked at that. I was like, oh, wow, this is so good. This is great. It has one of the best communication studies in the whole state. $100,000 for tuition. Per year, $125,000. I looked at that and I immediately said, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You know how much debt I'd be right now, third year at St. Thomas? I would be screwed.
Over $250,000.
Over $250,000 in debt. That's terrible. So I decided not to go.
That's smart.
However, my high school had a program called Gear Up. Essentially, it was a way to help high schoolers make the transition from high school to college. They'd help you set up tours to go to the colleges. They'd help you set up ways to apply and everything else. I took a couple tours. I went to Mankato. I went to U of M. Went to Anoka Ramsey Technical College and a couple community colleges. And at first I thought maybe a community college would have been nice. But I thought about it and said, I wouldn't get as much knowledge and experience if I started in a community college, because then eventually I'd have to go to a university anyway.
Yeah.
So I said, screw that. I'll just skip that step. And like you, my choices were Mankato and SMSU. And I think the driving force for me wasn't the broadcasting aspect of it. Because I wasn't really into broadcasting. And yeah, on the side, I do, fun little things in my room where I'd, commentate over a game or two. And
don't all broadcasters do that, though?
For practice. Hell yeah.
Oh.
I would always do that. I do it for, wrestling games, basketball, football.
I would do it a lot for Husker football. I'd watch a Huskers game and I'd over that.
And on YouTube, I would watch people who essentially would make these giant, for WWE games, there's a mode called Universe Mode where you play out an entire year of just show after show and set up stories and whatnot. I would watch people play that because I liked the story aspect of how they were doing things. But I never considered it something I really wanted to do until I had to make the decision between here and Mankato. So Mankato had some cool stuff, and I really liked the environment and everything, but my teacher in high school, another teacher, his name was Mr. Nelson. Mm-hmm. He went here, and he was a radio host for this school. He did radio shows and everything. And I highly respect him. He was a wise man. He's a wise man. And he could also scream his head off and be very angry. But that's only if you make him angry.
Yeah, don't poke the bear.
He played football here. He did radio shows. Oh, wow. He met his wife here. I mean, he told me and, you know, my roommate Brandon stories about his time here. And that's what inspired me to go here, because I wanted to make those kinds of memories here too. I wanted to be, you know, my whole goal in life was to have my voice heard. Didn't matter how. Mm-hmm. I just wanted it to be heard. Whether it be through the newspaper, through broadcasting, I wanted people to know that I'm here, right? And of course, in the early stages of college, it was journalism. I was on the college newspaper. I did my, you know, things there.
Didn't you work at the radio station too?
And I did. I worked at the radio station, and I was like, you know what, that isn't for me either. But I think for me, the essence of this journey for me, where you were like, I wanted to help people, and you went from like therapist to, you know, sports, and then you kind of varied on that. To me, I've always wanted to do things like that, you know, story-wise. And yeah, I had a little bit of like, maybe I should do computer science, but then I thought computers and technology is great. I'm not an IT guy. I'm not the kind of guy who's like, I know everything about technology, just engineering and shit. But I wanted to boil it down, I wanted people to know, you know, hear my voice. I wanted people to, you know, listen to me, acknowledge me in a way. Not like as a god and gratify me as, you know, the voice of the voiceless, but like a...
Praise be to you, Kyle Fox.
It's one of those things where it's like I wanted to tell a story, impact my audience. And one of the biggest things that inspired me to do it was, of course, wrestling, because they did the same thing. The way that you can sway the audience based on just how the commentators talk about something was so cool to me. Because in wrestling, there are two kinds of commentators. Heels, who are the bad guys, heel commentators would hype up the heel more, and then the babyface commentators would hype up the babyface or the good guy. So you'd have a bad guy and a good guy hyping up each other. You make a story around that. Sometimes they'd switch, sometimes they wouldn't, and I like that. Of course, now in broadcasting, for me, all those things with newspaper and just telling a story, it didn't become, because the thing that I saw the most of in broadcasting, because I researched the fuck out of this topic. Mm-hmm. There is biases made in commentary all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Racial, gender, favoritism toward a team. And to me, I don't want to do that. I want to tell it like it is. You know, like, I want to be defined as a person who doesn't take a favorite when it comes to, you know, even now when I do SMSU esports stuff, I'm not always rooting for SMSU.
Yeah. I
tend to be very in the middle. I want to be the guy who, if I see something that the other team does that's really cool, I'm not going to say, oh, that sucks for SMSU. I'm going to say, that's a really good play by that team, and they deserve that round because they did that very well. Mm-hmm. But if they make a mistake and SMSU comes up with a win, then I'll congratulate. I'll say good job SMSU for doing a great play and causing them to lose.
Yep.
I want to share both sides, and that's the biggest thing about broadcasting to me, is that it's so cutthroat with layers of racism and gender biases. I mean, just a couple months ago, in March, there was a guy in Oklahoma who, during a national anthem at a girls' basketball high school game, with his mic still on live television, talked about how it's bad to kneel, you shouldn't be kneeling, called them the N-word, and then proceeded to give like racial slurs and I hope this team beats this other team because they're kneeling, and I'm like, that was caught on live television during a break, you know? And that's why I'm trying to avoid that. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't have favoritism toward another team, because then I won't get more jobs in the future because, oh, you like this person more, so why should we hire you? Oh, you like this team more? Guess we can hire you. That sucks.
Yeah.
And, of course, racial slurs is just racial slurs, and that just really sucks. But, yeah, our journeys aren't entirely different. we both were at a moment of hesitation between, Mankato and SMSU, and we chose,
That's pretty crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think we chose the right choice. I think
we did.
Coming here, it helped me understand what I want to do in the future. It helped me, I'm now doing a podcast, and I'm casting for stuff, and it makes me realize what my true passion is. It's not journalism. It's not radio. It's having my voice be heard in a manner of on television and, sports broadcasting. And it doesn't even, the sport could vary, but at least I'm there.
Exactly.
Where I want to be. And we even talked about it earlier, how it is such a long, term goal. And that's why, we follow the network and effort and time. That's it.
I like that. Where did you get that analogy?
I got it right now off the dome.
Nice, dude. That's nice. I like that a lot, actually.
It's one of those things where if you put enough of yourself and passion into it, then you can make your goal come true. You just have to be able to network, give enough effort, and put in the time. That's why, we do what we do. It is an extremely hard business to get into. But once you get into it and you do really well in it, it pays off so well.
Yeah.
And I think with that,
I was going to say,
I think that'll wrap up this discussion. I think this really helped me connect with you, Mitch.
Aw.
Because hearing this story helps me realize, because our stories are the same. And it actually reminds me of two other characters who have very similar stories.
No, who's that?
And they tie in together pretty well. Oberyn and Zion.
Oh, no way.
Which we'll jump into our D&D discussion coming up right after this.
In a world where they're made-up creatures and made-up problems and people who make up made-up characters with real-life problems of their own, it's time for D&D discussion!
Yes, sir.
That was a weird intro, but I liked it.
I thought it was good. It was like a trailer.
It was.
Yeah.
I am the trailer guy, or honest trailer guy.
I am that very same man.
That is me. I got paid a lot of money for that. Actually, not enough. I did the Honda commercial.
Ooh.
I'm just kidding. I didn't. I wish I did. That'd be
right.
amazing.
So I guess to just jump right in.
Yeah, exactly.
Mitch, if you want to let the audience know.
Wait, who's taking the back seat?
We don't have Matt here, so I guess the audience is going to take a back seat.
You audience, you take the back seat.
I guess to kind of give a recap before we jump in, last time we were here, a lot had happened.
Oh gosh, so much.
Saved by the Mind Titan. We got pulled back in by Cerulean.
Saved from the Mind Titan, not by the Mind Titan.
Yeah. Pulled away from the Mind Titan, thanks to Cerulean.
Yep.
Cerulean then brought our vessel back, and Oberyn went through some traumatizing experiences. Zion tried to help out.
It did not go well.
Cerulean then entered a big, huge battle with,
the almighty Bahamut.
Yeah, and essentially the Avengers. You have, Cerulean, the Dominus, my dad, and the Tiefling going out, doing their thing.
Kicking booty.
Not
Except
really.
They got their butts bootied.
Yep, and Cerulean didn't come back to us in critical condition. Arthur then tried to
murder her,
which is going to be a theme that comes in later in this session.
Very heavy theme.
It's going to be a very heavy theme for sure. And after all the commotion, we decide what to do next about the Beholder, which then throws us into this next session. So, Mitch, if you'd like to take...
Absolutely. So, we all awake after going to bed with Cerulean drawing plans up in Edwin's quarters. We all awake and... Cerulean's gone. We're like, that's interesting. Where'd she go?
Mm-hmm.
And me and Oberyn, essentially after discussing with everyone like where we think she's at, we go down to the split like.
Yeah, I think she comes out of
we went to the basement. We were about to go down there. We were
going toward the door.
But then she kicked it open. And she's actually really intoxicated. And she's like, got all these weird plants, and like she sets it all down, and then she like cures herself of the intoxication.
Yeah,
because she's the aspect of annihilation, so you can just do that.
So to kind of give a little more context, right? Leoffa left a cocktail for Cerulean. Some kind of ritualistic drink that the Drow usually drank to meet with their goddess and stuff like that. Cerulean, Leoffa made a quote-unquote normal amount, which by normal would be like the amount that Drow usually drink, for a human, which would be incredibly strong, like taking a peyote, except you've eaten multiple peyotes.
Yep.
And made it into like a smoothie. So she's tripping. She has all these written down plans of some interesting like claps over eyes for the beholder.
Like tools to help catch the beholder.
And then there were some that were like, that's weird. Why would we ever need that? But
she made it.
But she didn't make them. She does cure herself because, as the aspect of annihilation, you are able to kind of annihilate diseases and stuff.
So bam,
in your own body. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
But
she becomes not intoxicated anymore. Kind of explains her plan, and then somehow it gets brought up that the dragon.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know it's a dragon. The peak we're supposed to go to.
Spoiler, I guess, but
no, it's not a spoiler. We don't even know that.
So Oberyn mentions it because we're talking about the beholders and how we can take care of these beholders, and it would be really interesting to have some kind of magic, monster or something to kind of go toe-to-toe with the magic monster that we need to get. Oberyn kind of calls back because our mission to grab the basilisk oil failed, and she did give me another mission to do after the basilisk one, so I bring up the peak.
Yep.
The peak that I saw in the vision a while back that Cerulean showed me. And I remember Zion and me did talk about it right before we headed out to go do the stuff with the, in the eventual encounter with the Mind Titan. And I went over like the peak and what it is, and Zion has a idea of where it is. Of course, he doesn't disclose why we're going. He knows why we're going, but of course he doesn't want to disclose that information, which is totally fine.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, because people might want to do that and take it away from you. Possibly. Maybe.
They're going to have a much harder time accomplishing the same thing that I want to accomplish because...
Fair enough.
They don't have the Dragon Rider necklace anymore.
That's true.
I have it. It's mine. Just kidding.
So we get the... I talked to her about that, and she does mention that, we get kind of a dilemma, a choice. And it's either we take this perilous trip up the mountain, or we just go after the beholders and probably die. So
we all unanimously voted to go fight the dragon. And honestly, like, from Zion's position...
It's probably more advantageous for him to go to the peak.
Well, he was like, is this actually something we want to do? Like, we don't have to do this now, but...
And Oberyn kind of mentions a sense of urgency where it's like, well, if we go after the beholders, who are what Cerulean says to be the most dangerous creatures that we will ever face yet... It'd be nice to have something that could probably give us the edge. And whatever she wanted at this peak, it did come first before these beholders. It was supposed to come right after we get the basilisk oil. So essentially, we're just doing a list in order because it was going to be basilisk oil, peak, then beholder probably. So we're just kind of completing it in order. But
yep.
And we decide that for this trip, because we were probably going to do another shopping episode, which... I'm kind of glad Matt was like, hey, you know what? I'll just skip the pleasantries and you'll just get what you need right now. So we got
a bunch of climbing equipment.
Pythons, rope, furs, pelts, rations, food, all that, which was good. Not sure whether those rations went after what happened next.
Well, we took some of them. We had 32 weeks worth, and we each grabbed 2 weeks worth.
Yep.
And we left the rest of it on the ship.
Oh, I remember that. I'm just wondering what will happen next, considering.
Yes.
So Zion is in his element. He loves this.
This is literally me.
Yeah, and so he takes full point.
Yep.
Jumping and And we can see some people adjusting to the cold a little better than others. Leafa, a big one. She's never been above the ground before, let alone a mountain.
Freezing temperatures.
With freezing temps.
She's never seen, probably never, I don't know if this is true or not, but probably has never seen below 50.
Yeah.
And now we're talking negative 40 consistently.
It's pretty bad. So
it's really bad, actually. It's really cold.
Yeah, it's terrible. So
luckily, my favorite terrain is literally mountain. So
yeah, which was very good, because if he said this was in the fucking desert, oh, we'd be fucked.
Yeah.
Because I think Silvana Brazil, like, she's all about the forest. And you're all about mountains. So if we were in any other terrain, not great. But, you know, Zion on point, leading us up for about 4 hours.
Which is pretty good.
That's pretty good, especially with the way you were maneuvering us through different pitfalls and saying, like, that's bad, don't jump on that, you'll fall. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this.
Yeah.
Zion, if you'd like to take it away to the next events that transpires a little later.
So we don't stop for a rest, do we? We just kind of keep going.
We do not.
So
I think the topic of a rest was thrown when we were like, how are we going to sleep? That's about it.
Yeah, so we hit about the 4-hour mark. Oh, my apologies. We hit about the 4-hour mark, and Leafa,
she I think kicked something.
Why did she kick it though?
I think she might have either.
She was frustrated.
I think she might have been frustrated with the. Oh, she was getting. Because Matt asked the group, who's the most irritable right now with the cold, and Leafa was the one who was the most irritable.
Yeah.
So Matt then said, well, you kick something out of frustration. And it has orange and blue blood, which is, like, interesting. That's...
Yeah, I look at it and I recognize it right away, and it's just... Okay, well, Zion recognized it. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, essentially it was a giant centipede. A giant, like, ice centipede thing.
Ice fire centipede.
Yeah, so... we think it's, like, going to be, like, a super big, you know, like... We thought that was big. It got significantly worse.
Yeah, so it pops out, and we roll initiative, and, you know, we get a couple hits on it, and then Edwin casts Fireball because he had recently gotten Fireball, and, like, I don't blame him. Like, it's a pretty good...
It's a really strong spell.
And it's against ice, so you...
Right.
You think it... Well, no. Ice resists fire.
Yeah, but it's only resistant against ice attacks. That's what we assumed.
Yeah, that's what we assumed, yeah.
And it is
Fireball's a pretty hefty dealing spell. It did nothing. Actually, it made it worse by like a lot.
So, so the Remorhas, that is what is known as.
Remoras.
Remoras, there you go. Remoras. Is hit with this fireball. And we're like, yeah, big damage, 8d6, cool.
And Matt's like, it looks as though it
did nothing. Yeah, and Brazil, Silvana, mentions that because of the orange and blue blood, it means that it is immune to fire
and ice.
Not resistant. Immune. So it takes nothing. Instead of taking half, it would take nothing, which really, really sucks. But that isn't the worst part. The fireball is loud, concussive boom. So because of that, luckily an avalanche didn't start, but I think I would have took an avalanche over what happens next.
Yes.
We begin to wake up more of these creatures. Remorasses. And eventually we encounter the mom, who is way bigger.
No, I thought we encountered... Oh, no, we did encounter the mom second.
Yep. No, actually, it was the baby, another baby, and then the mom came later because it was burrowing underneath us.
Yes.
So we tried our best to fight these two babies. We do kill the one that we originally fought, but we
killed it decently quickly.
We killed it decently quickly. However, we then encountered the other baby. And then the mom came out. And it's huge. Like, the babies were at least, I think he said, like 20 to 30 feet, maybe. The mom was about 50 feet.
Yeah, huge.
It was absolutely huge. And it was a tough fight. Just fighting those two. It was
because on
them.
average, you took 10 points of damage every time you, like, melee attacked it.
Yeah.
Which for Arthur and I is, like, that sucks.
Yeah, so the Remoras have this thing where if you are close enough to attack it, it starts to shoot steam out of its body as like just burning hot steam. And even when you slash it, I think you get blood like on you. It also burns you.
Yeah, it's super heated.
So the
insides.
so like the best thing to do would be hitting it from far. But a lot of our characters who do tend to fight a lot are close range fighters, and that is just how it is. So they did tank the damage. They took it like a boss, and I will respect that, you know. And then also to give a little more context, in this fight, we were, you know, thrown around. I got thrown into a snowfall because I was right underneath the mom. So I stayed in a hole 10 feet down from everyone else for the entire fight.
Sylvana got gulped up and then died.
Yeah, so the mom got, she was just starting biting and clawing and everything, and that thing could take hits like crazy. So Sylvana wasn't able to get away fast enough, and she was swallowed and eaten by the, you know, Remoras, and unfortunately dies, right? Dissolves in the stomach of this creature almost all the way, and like a bolt of lightning shoots out of its mouth to show that like she got to her sword space.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here with that's someone not downed, but dead for a couple of days, granted, but still dead.
DEAD.
Right.
Dead.
And we're scrambling to fight not just this baby, but also to fight the Remoras mom. And I'm down there shooting it with Eldritch Blast and hexing it and everything, and Arthur is doing his best to just try and kill the baby and kill this thing, and then things get a little worse. So everyone is kind of fighting. Leafa is hiding behind the other corpse because she is without an aspect. So if she dies, she's donezo for the whole thing, and that's completely fair. It turns into a test of attrition, right? Because you have Arthur and Zion wailing on this thing, but also taking tons of damage every single hit.
Yeah.
And I'm trying.
Una as well.
And Una. And I, you know, successfully, well, actually, after a couple of things, it starts to go after Eclipse, Sylvana's companion. And it got it. You know, it's in its mouth, and I try to shoot Eldritch Blast at it because I'm like, maybe if I can hit it, it can rocket out of his mouth. I missed both. I rolled back-to-back 4s, which really just, it sucked so bad. And it swallowed, no, it did not. It hit it with some massive burning damage.
It flung it to the side.
Yeah, and it threw it toward Leafa, who had to duck out of the way or get hit with a speeding, you know, panther at her. So it falls to the ground after getting thrown across, and it's on its last legs, and you know, and it's one of those things where Matt, you know, gave us a chance to help Eclipse by throwing it toward, you know, Leafa. Leafa, in the heat of the moment, you know, forgets about the healing potions and how it's able to heal animals.
Yep.
She doesn't take the opportunity to, and Eclipse dies.
Yeah.
Zion tries his best to get there, but he tries to think about, well, if I dash, I'm out of an action, and I can't help anyway because I won't be able to make it. And no one was there to help out Eclipse. Unfortunately, I was still stuck in a hole. Arthur was with the creature, and by that point, Eclipse had passed away. No resurrections this time. You know, like, he was gone.
Dead so.
And
death saves failed.
Yeah, and it was bad. But it gets worse. You know, I get eaten eventually. After hitting a clutch roll, thank God. You know, after I see Eclipse getting hurt and I take this opportunity because now it's trying to eat me, I start to swing my glaive at it. I hit it with an Eldritch Smite. It goes prone to help out the people above.
Oh, so clutch.
Which really helped me so much because now it's like if we swing, it's advantage, and I get so much damage from this, and it helped out a lot. Guaranteed hits, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it gets back up, eats me, I'm swallowed. I die as well, leaving Edwin, Leatfa, Arthur, and Zion left to fight this thing. And, you know, it sucks as if I just stayed alive for a little longer, I'd be living with y'all. But Arthur does.
Would you, though?
Yeah. We'll get to that. So, Arthur gets this big, huge win, killing this thing, essentially guts it right down the middle and rips open like its guts, and I come out with my dissolving corpse, but I'm still alive. I'm in my sword space. We still have the baby to take care of. We dispose of that after almost dying to that.
I actually killed that.
Yeah, you actually took the kill for that, and I think Edwin took the kill for the other
baby.
The other baby. So for you guys, your aspects was given,
And Brandon got the.
And Brandon got the big mom.
Big mama.
And for the first time on this mountain since we got there, it was
peaceful.
Peaceful. Keyword was Zion. Mitch, if you would. Since this is, I guess this is your experience. I guess we would like a first-hand account.
So this is what happened. We all know how cool or how powerful we get from killing other people, let alone other like aspects. Like that's good cash money. It's good to do. It's showing of love, essentially. And fight's over. We're all pretty low, except for Edwin and Leatfa, who kind of like were back being support and range. Which I mean, it is what it is with that. Like that's what they're good at that stuff. So like, they're expected to be. So
right.
But Edwin still has a third level
fireball.
Third level slot left.
Right. Yeah.
Which he then proceeds to use on me. He casts fireball. I, of course, make my deck save.
Yeah, and even still, half damage, yeah.
Yeah. I think he rolled like 40 damage, which is a lot.
And it gets half to 20, but
20,
still.
And I was at like 11 hit points, so it didn't matter. So I was like, goop, gone, dead.
Right.
Well, I went unconscious. It was not dead.
Yeah, you weren't completely burned to a crisp. And luckily...
And I should say, I pointed at Edwin because I saw him casting it, and I'm like, take care of my freaking dog while I'm gone, because I'm not going to actually die. I'm just going to...
You just know where it's going to be.
So he casts it. I go unconscious.
Yeah, and luckily Una doesn't. Like, if Una got unconscious, it would be a little harder.
Well, I think he cast it in a way that it only hit me.
Yeah.
So, loud kaboom.
Yep.
Arthur runs over.
Yep.
Grabs Una and I and says "Grum." Goes into his pocket paradise.
Yeah.
And then leaves. So we're at this point. Arthur, me, and Una are in the pocket paradise. The loud kaboom from Edwin's fireball. Wakes up another. Was it bigger?
It was essentially a dad.
Yes.
It was essentially the dad.
The father figure of the.
Coming home after buying some groceries for his family, comes home and sees they're dead. He's a little angry.
Yeah. He's swarming. Well, I should say he woke up, which made Arthur come grab me and Una and bring us into the pocket paradise. But that left Leatfa and Edwin
out on the mountain. Yeah, so
alone. So while that's about to go down, Arthur, Una, and I are in the pocket paradise. I'm unconscious still. I fail a death save.
Yep.
1. And then Arthur swings and kills me. And Una, of course, kills him. Because she doesn't know that I'm going to come back.
Right, yeah.
She just saw someone kill her master, and then, 7-foot direwolf and eat your throat. which she did, kills him. So now she's just chilling in the pocket paradise by herself, cuddling around me and being all sad and mopey.
Yeah.
And while that's going on, hop back to Edwin and
yeah,
Leatfa.
No.
Leatfa is dashing for her life. Edwin's flying on his broom, trying to get away.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of them are going in the right direction.
I think
because they tried killing the dude that got him this far in.
Yeah, they did try to kill the guy who essentially knew this mountain better than anyone else, but they were in such a perilous situation where it's like, well, if we stay here, we're gonna die.
Yep.
It was the fact that they split up. That's what did it. The fact that they're splitting up, it makes their chances of survival that much worse.
And no one's coming back for another 3 days.
And they're going to have to survive or get back to the vessel before they freeze to death.
Good luck with that.
Edwin dies. It's fine because he'll come back. Leatfa dies.
She does not. Yep.
So to kind of end give a conclusion to the session, at least, everyone is mostly dead. Everyone is essentially dead except for Edwin is
dead and might possibly be dying soon.
Of course, everyone who died who had an aspect is coming back, but Leatfa is the biggest concern because if she dies,
and Eclipse,
she's not coming back. And Eclipse is dead. So yeah,
there was going to be a burial. Leatfa,
she was going to try and go for a burial. Yeah.
Yep, and then kablamzo happened and shit went down.
Yeah.
Quite
overall,
literally.
It was a total shit show at the end.
Yeah, it was a shit show, and then it stopped being a shit show, and then it was a huge shit show.
Yeah, and it was kind of foreshadowed in a way. I know D&D has a way of not foreshadowing things because, it is just off-the-cuff, spur-of-the-moment things. But this, in essence, if you were an audience member watching this, perfect storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
It was because Arthur had been trying to take opportunities to try and get power because he wants to have power. Mm-hmm. So this is a smart move from Arthur because he's like, I tried with Cerulean when she was bloodied and beat. Couldn't get it. I see Zion near death in front of me. He'll come back. I just want to be able to take his power because I need it. And he understands that. Maybe. And so he does it. The thing that intrigues me is how Oberyn and Sylvana are going to react to all the events that had occurred. Because Oberyn is in a sense of, I died again 3 times. However, this 3rd time he has a plan.
Oh, he has a plan.
Yeah.
What's the plan?
It's kind of like he needed to die. Because now he's in his sword space, right? First of all, he's going to start working on the door to other sword spaces. So I can try and communicate with other people.
I still think that you need to make an anchor door first.
Which might have to be the case, but it's also a chance to talk to Oam.
That's true. Personally.
Or to talk to my patron personally. Mm-hmm. Because most of the time I haven't been able to do it because I'm not. But now I'm in the sword space where that's where they kind of are too. Yep. So this is Oberyn's chance because, I died. But this is also an advantage for me because now I can get some things and learn and get some more answers for things that I need to know about. And he wants to talk to his patron because his patron hasn't talked to him in so long, and he wants answers. The last time he said something, he was like, I'm not ready. And so he's like, all right, well, let's talk then. Sit down and chat. We're not going to fight. I just want to talk to you, my patron. Not Oam, just to you. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And for Sylvana, it's going to be a little different. When she comes back, she's going to notice her, dead, frozen cat corpse in the snow. No one around. And then you guys probably pop out a Grum because that's just how, I think that's how it works. Mm-hmm. And she's going to be royally pissed.
Probably. I would be.
And it's going to be an interesting dynamic because it's a matter of the impact of what had been done. Because it was probably in the worst possible way. Like, Edwin could have stabbed you in the back with the rapier. Probably did the same amount of damage, maybe. But he went for the big bombastic boom, which caused more trouble. But these things kind of had to happen in a way because of the fact of we need power. We need the train to be stronger. If this is how we do it, we have to do it. Yep. It was just done in a very
interesting way.
Interesting way, exactly.
That's good.
And I think that's kind of where I want it to lead now. For the rest, like the party will kind of be divided in a sense. You have Sylvana angry at Eclipse dying, which will cause a massive divide with her in the group.
Yep.
Edwin might be a little. Well, I think Edwin, Zion, and Arthur might all be understanding of what's happening, because they all took that opportunity to do it in the first place. You know, Leafa is definitely going to have something bad if she's not smart. She might die on that mountain. I mean, she'll freeze to death. Essentially, we've been out on this mountain for essentially 8 hours. And if she freezes to death, then that's game, essentially. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Hopefully, maybe in the next session, we talk to Cerulean, say, hey, can we fucked up or something or whatever. We can talk to Ohm. We can talk to our patron. My patron, I should say. But is there any thoughts about, for you anyway, where do you think this campaign is going to go with this next session? Do you have any ideas?
It'll be interesting. I don't have too many theories just because everyone's dead. And it's all pending on reactions at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can assume the reaction, but
it's one of those things where you have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And I know after session, we kind of heard, Sylvana's player Liz say, like, there will be hell to pay kind of thing. And so we can kind of assume what her reaction would be. Because that's one of those things where it's like, well, you just lost essentially your best friend, and you don't know the cause of it. You just know he's dead. And she's going to lash out. That's just how it's got to be. And I can't wait to see how it happens. I want to know. I'm curious to see how it goes. And I think that's where we can wrap up this discussion for D&D. I think wasn't a very super, I guess, quote unquote, progressive episode, like a session.
No, it was.
It was, and it wasn't. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like it was short and sweet. Because if you think about like the overall things that happened is that we just got on the mountain and then we died.
Yeah.
You know? But it was about how we got there, how we died, what are the implications of those things,
the consequences. What? I survived.
You did you?
Yes, because Edwin killed me.
True.
Technically, Arthur killed me. Both of them. The people that made the final blows were not the creatures that we stumbled upon.
You survived the previous encounter, but then the party members decided, hey, we need power. That's just how it be.
How it be, yeah.
And I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited
because
for Sunday's episode.
I just want to know.
Or session.
But I think that's going to do it here for us here. A little shorter episode, but still a very insightful one, I should say.
Exactly.
And that's going to do it. We will see you guys in the next one. Peace.